Mr. PM, sir, I hope you listen to me. I'm not your enemy, just the voice of the people. La da do dum da do. Last year enough people said give you a song. In all fairness, I told all of them hold on. It was only 1 year you deserve a chance. But it's 2 years now, grace period past and gone. I had no problem with the pension, that was okay. But the money you didn't source on your own. So the credit for that it had to split 2 ways. Since after that we waiting for something major to be done. Not one capital project,
Mr. PM,
like your government on recess.
Mr. PM,
But it's only pictures and videos,
Mr. PM,
while the poor people belly hollow.
Mr. PM,
The place looking bleak, things not sweet on the street, but it's only paint and flowers like.
tempting good to eat.
And everywhere you pass, people balling, balling. All over the damn country, people balling, balling. Like all you deaf and listening, balling, balling. Everywhere you go, Papa, people balling, balling. The economy sick, no money on the street, but all you only planting flowers like.
Flowers good to eat.
Oh Lord, them public servants say they waiting still. Like regularizing them got stuck on a hill. The teachers and him and knees tired fret. And the nurses say how they live to regret. The healthcare condition is overbearing. Basic medication the patients can't get. And the more people cry, all you're doing nothing. The hospital suffering from a complete case of neglect. What about no more contract?
Mr. PM,
And primary health care, that was vote talk.
Mr. PM,
The medical staff could hardly function.
Mr. PM,
And it's like that all over the island.
Mr. PM,
The place looking bleak, things not sweet on the street, but it's only paint and flowers like.
tempting good to eat.
And everywhere you pass, people balling, balling. Everywhere you go, mama, people balling, balling. People can't feed their families, balling, balling. All over the country, people balling, balling. People feeling sick, hopelessness have them weak, but all you only planting flowers like.
Flowers good to eat.
Oh Ladoy, Bambado, Bambado, Ladoy. Mr. PM,
I saw. We know they're good. Things not going well. A message to Dr. Drew and his crew. Listen carefully, you know. You ignored my warning, and instead of heeding to the things I said, you gave me hell. But instead of getting better, we deeper in the mire. Now the whole ship going under, and all across the country, the people unhappy. Can't eat, can't sleep, and fearing for their safety. And they crying, things not going well. Oh, things not going well. Things not going well. Things not going well. And nobody has to tell you. Now what I say is true, because it ain't only me. And you're feeling it too. There's hardly anybody in this land not getting hell, because things not going well. It's easy to tell, things not going well. Nice man. Serious song. The crime situation in this federation, those things really not going well. Murders escalating, the body count rising, the convicts not going well. And nobody has to tell you, now what I say is true, because it ain't only me. You feeling it too. It's hardly anybody in this land not getting hell, because things not going well. It's easy to tell, things not going well. Yes, things tight. We know they're good. Look at Marky. Good friend, Mammy Davis. Holy Faith. Bravo. In the business sector, things not getting better. Small business owners going through real hell. It's like we're forgetting that they are the engine, and when they strive, the country does well. As we look to build a future where everyone does better, we need a very strong small business sector. We have no other option trying to save this nation but to join hands and work in unison. And we're singing, things not going well. Oh, things not going well. Things not going well. Things not going well. And nobody has to tell you, now what I say is true, because it ain't only me. Me friend them feeling it too. There's hardly anybody in this land not getting hell, because things not going well. It's easy to tell, things not going well. Hi, so man. This one is for the leaders. All them tin skin leaders. Man from number 3, you better listen. Leaders, are you listening to all the complaining that things in this country not going well? The masses are crying, their heads to well. Some of your recent behavior leave much to be desired, like trifling with the media. You better take stock quickly and face reality.
But don't test, don't mess with our democracy.
And they crying,
Things not going well. Oh, things not going well. Things not going well. Things not going well.
and nobody has to tell you. Now what I say is true, because it ain't no limit. I'm gonna keep feeling it too. There's hardly anybody in this land not catching hell, because
Things not going well.
it's easy to tell.
Things not going well. Things not going well.
Yes, what happened to the water problem, man?
Things not going.
Hill, on the road.
Things not going well.
What going on with the Bastille High School, sir? What going on?
Things not going well.
The people say they want a double salary. But I don't know what's taking place here tonight again, yeah. Stadium, what going on there?
Things not going
Lord, the
well.
food prices so high, they're killing us, man.
Things not going well.
Now, what about them 2,000 houses you promised the people,
Things
man?
not going well.
Where is our CBI money?
Things not going
The
well.
crime rate getting out of hand again, man.
Things not going well.
Where is the help for the small businesses?
Things not going well.
Electricity killing this world. Yeah, I think we solved the problem, yeah.
Going well.
Oh, the farmers falling.
Things not going well.
Prime Minister.
Things not
Yeah, things definitely not going well, huh? And I'm
We're quite sure on that things are not going well within the state of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique, and yeah.
Yes, man, you know they're good.
And we say a special good night to each and every one of you. Hope that you've been having a fabulous day thus far. And it is now going into a fabulous night. I know some of you go start to complain just now. You hear me proper. Yeah, I know, yeah. That's what has happened when people interfere with your thing sometimes. That's what has happened, eh? Good night, Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. Once again, it is time for Talking Points. Want to say a special good night to you, the listeners locally, regionally, and internationally. Hope that you all have been having a wonderful time thus far, yeah? Nice, yeah. Let me see if I get next thing there. I think I'll take another song there. Yeah. Let me try a local, yeah. And we will be joined by Senator the Honorable Norland Cox in about the next 15 to 20 minutes or so. You know, he has to get himself to a location where we would be able to speak with him because of the internet issues in his zone.
I'm a real bad man.
Just let me know if the audio is okay.
First one to win independence from 3 times in a row. But they never even invite me to one of the independence show. They say me out, man, Kelly. Sing
Young song.
like we have an ulterior motive.
I'm still waiting on them other song, eh, man?
But I tell them, hold on, wait a while. I won't let political vampires grow my style. They could take a look at all my independent songs. I never sing politics, always write some sweet lyrics. So I don't know where they get this stinking idea from. Hey, somebody tell my Kenny gang a mistake they make to rap with young song. I'm in Tory long, I know what is going on. They could leave me out from semi-final. That will never stop me at all. I'm in Tory long, I know what is going on.
Why are some people trying to draw? They can't draw me out, man.
See, man,
You all are not of the intellectual standard to draw out talking points, yeah?
up the Paris sets, so they make them
But thanks for making sure that people know talking points is back on, yeah?
that yellow food, hey,
Any type of advertising is good, yeah?
to them. It was disrespectful. But they label it, man.
Good night to you, Teresa Buddy Frederick, John Mark, Errol Bonaparte.
For failure that living down by me. Well, one day he disrespect me because I asked him for my money. And he
Landon John, Ingrid Bourne.
was in charge of culture. And he gave them strict instruction. Don't give me no for Carifta. Somebody tell
Nesta Sinclair.
me. Carifta weekend, well, I made the most money. Because when I roll up to me, nice clean Toyota. banger wrong. A mistake he make to with young song. I'm in tongue real long. What is going on? I want him to explain to the people how he got his driver's license. I'm in tongue real long. I know what is going on. You take them people on and try to be love stand. Then you walking wrong like you with some big badge, and when puzzle pull the barricade, you fly up in a rage. That's why baby Jesus, he got you ignorant.
Good night to you, Ingrid Bourne, Nessa Sinclair, Cynthia B. And let me see, Esther Peters, Kenrick Gibbs. Good night. Norman Noel.
Real bad one.
Teresa Gill.
I know some people will never like the fire. That's pity.
Wallen Aquad, Leslie James.
He just come
Cicely Celestine, I see ya.
running up in mountain.
Etta Batiste, Joan Henry, Winnie Simon, Blossom Street, Lois.
Some people bad minded and headless for the die.
Laslin Douglas, Tegwa, what's up, bro?
The final. That was
what's up, Tegwa?
made some real long.
Veronica Frederick,
They had their thing well planned to give the shanty man. So
Sims Houston,
they know they're going to take the ground.
Norma Roberts, Monica Roberts, Betty James, Charmaine Ragbasing,
They say that we ain't good. We can
Enid Decoto. Let me pull that to here, man.
walk to them.
Wendy and C. McGuire, Carla Walcott, where are you? Glenda Robinson, where are you? Relish Ease, where is you?
A failure that living down by me. Well, one day he disrespect me.
Cuthbert Brave Boy.
Money.
You see, I'm using the TH in your name, Cuthbert. Yeah, your name is not Cuthbert. Your name is Cuthbert.
Instruction don't give me no fucker. If that somebody tell me stop studying for me.
McLean Mitchell,
If that weekend well
Dylan Pear,
because when I roll up to midnight Clinton
Cindy Charles, Peter Striker Lewis,
over, I collect US dollar, but I never make Bobby roll and a back queen car. Hey, somebody tell this banger wrong. A mistake he make to with young song. I'm in tongue real long. I know what is going on. I want him to explain to
hey, Rick English over on the YouTube,
was license. I'm in tongue real.
Veronica Alexander, Bernard Joseph, William Charles,
Them people land and try to be love stand.
Moko Joseph, Jocelyn Matheson, Stephanie John, Saralyn Jeremiah, Natalia John, Carib Spice, Shane Ross, Joyce Lewis,
He got you ignorant
Matthew Bowen, Antonito, Manda Moses, Yolan Pariag,
for the wrong things.
Kathleen Knights. Only them can't draw me out to study them.
Real bad one.
Arlene,
I know some people will never like the fire. That's spitting out. So
Janice Mitchell, Christine Alexander, Oswald Belfont, Vaughn Wellington.
running up in mountain, Kid Mitchell.
I said in a while we will be joined by the deputy political leader of the New National Party, Senator the Honorable Nolan Cox. Yeah, we'll be joined by him in a short while.
So right now I really don't give a damn what critics say. I come with
Jackie Raymond,
I don't pay it.
John Stafford, Anna Lewis, Faithlin, Hallie Douglas, Sky, Baby Daddy, Deborah Laborde, Roslyn Jones, Michelle Alexander, Gavin Thomas,
So real long.
Sherma, Jeremiah, Ewan Zela, and the whole home circle,
I don't hear nobody talking about that. I mean, so real long.
Anne-Marie Grant, Merlin Ferguson, Carl Jones, Adrian Watson, Mrs. Watts,
From the commissioner, need that
Patricia and Matthew,
mountain lock. No one does afraid to talk. Right now I go say,
Ruth Chitterman,
he fucking whatever.
Listra Abraham,
I had a collect real CBI money boy. But I hear more.
yes indeed, Ashma Charles, I see you, Dave Phillips, Sandra Joseph, yeah, I'll make sure I shout out everybody tonight, y'all. You can't complain,
Get ready for the onslaught. You mad? You think they get away off?
Things just not going well,
Man. I was the first one to win independence from 3 times in a row.
You know something, now, over the holiday season, I saw the list of holidays for 2025 came out. And as many folks would realize, especially people from Big Parish, people from the Big Parish would realize there is no longer the Rainbow City weekend does not exist. So that there is the Emancipation Day holiday, which is the 1st of August, and I don't think anybody has a problem with Emancipation Day and the date. But somebody's trying to call. Let's take that call and then we'll come back. Hello, good night.
Good night, Mr. Sheldon.
Hey, good night. How you doing?
Well, Tito doing very, very good in Kits, in Kits, Wisconsin.
Tito.
Yeah. Tito doing very. I know turn on me live and I see the bosses on live, so I say I must call the boss and say that's coming out from my heart. I just want to tell you personally, I wish you all the best for 2025. You know, with more love. You know, I want you to be more closer to God. You understand? I want you to share whatsoever God, send to you, and I want you to be real with NNP. I want to say thanks for the past couple of years that you've been live. You're making everybody know that NNP not done. NNP always there for the poor people and the people on the ground. Right? We always there. So, Mr. Sheldon, that's coming from my heart. I just want to say thanks, and I wish you all the best. You, your family, your station, everybody that comes from Tito Heart, right?
Of course, my brother, and many happy returns to you and yours.
Yeah, and I just want to say, enough respect to my political, leader, Ms. Emmeline P. I want to wish Miss Emmeline P all the best with success. God bless her. I know she's a godly person. I love people talk, but we don't listen to gossip. We don't listen. And the ex-political leader, my real ex-prime minister, Dr. Kit Mitchell, I just want to say hats off going on to you. Thanks for being there for us. Thanks for each and everything. Thanks for, opening the way, opening the road, opening everything for Grenada, right? And first and for all, I want to say thanks very much to Miss Kita Lewis, my lovely pumpkin, All I watch her, she at times just like she getting more wrong. We dealing with people from the ground. We are dealing with people from on top the ground because this is like, So I just want to say thanks to each and everyone. I say thanks to NNP. I want to say thanks to everybody. All right, and Mr. Sheldon, as God, I get to love you more. When I'm in love, I don't mean people might have it, but there is different love.
Of course, man.
The way you speak, your voice, your pronunciation, it's like you make me believe like the experiments that Kit Mitchell, like either your uncle or your father, or I don't know what, but you really copy that, man. I want to say thanks, right?
No problem, my brother.
All right, and all the best to each and everyone. NNP, who for we, who not for we, but we are space. We are real space for people on the other side who want to come through and the boat and get a smooth ride for 2025. So I want to say thanks to God, thanks to everybody, thanks to Grenada, and thanks for everything. And Sheldon, before I go, I just want to say thanks, Sheldon, because my community, all the time make my community real breeze, because every Wednesday, all the time have a karaoke, and I have a little shop in front and I have a garage behind. And my prime minister now, which is Miss Emily Pierre, come to my shop recently and she said, yo, it's like a supermarket you have. So she told me that she want to wish me all the best because Sheldon, trust me, I do body work and I want a shop where I have karaoke every Wednesday. Like free food. You come, you get free food and you have a stock bar. Right? So I say thanks and
people the exact
Andrew Donald and make it possible.
You tell people the exact location.
Come to my karaoke.
No, you have to tell people the exact.
Thanks to you. And Mr. Sheldon, all the best.
Tito.
To everybody, and thanks for having me and all the best, right?
No, hold on before you go. You have to tell people the location, man. You tell them all the way you have, you don't tell them where to find you.
Like when you reach on Paradise Bridge, you go to Simon and the first concrete hill you meet on your left side, you come up. And you meet like the shop where we have the karaoke and the garage in the back.
Well, easy to find. I know which part. All right.
All the time have like poster up, but I mean, all the time view me all the time.
All
and I say thanks and I do like hearts have going to each and everyone.
Okay, my brother. Thank you so very much. And again, we'll be in contact.
And Mr. Sheldon, thanks. And to be honest, I get into you really more and more because the way you speak, I listen to you and I learn a lot because they say you're never too big to like pass out. So you're never too big to learn from knowing.
Yes, indeed.
All right,
so
my friend. You is one of my motivation.
All right, man. Well, I'm going to see you doing some live just now. Good.
And stay cool and stay humble, and I want you to be a little closer to God because we're dealing with God this year. We can't forget the Creator because we must believe in the Creator for it to move forward.
Okay.
Okay?
All right, my brother. You have a good one.
All right, thanks,
All
man.
right,
I
bye-bye.
listen. I'm in the shop, and I listen live. So thanks very much.
Okay, bro. Blessings.
All right. That man is a really good man.
And you see, we have the listeners in the shop, and hey, down in Montu, there's somebody that's put out the Bluetooth and thing and blah. One of these days, I really had to meet this person who does be doing that down in Montu. Yes, folks. So until we get Senator Cox to join us, yes, I will entertain one or two calls before we get Senator Cox on. But I was speaking about the Emancipation Weekend. Well, what we usually had as the Emancipation Weekend, so we knew that we would have the Rainbow City Weekend, which is where we had the Monday off, and they'd have Rainbow City. That's when you would have things on that day. Rainbow City Beach Fest. Inspector for the last few years has been having a show on that Monday. That is the Monday prior to Carnival. So there are quite a few activities that usually take place on that particular Monday. Yeah? So outside of Beach Fest that you had going on for should be close to 2 decades now, I think. Yeah, you have Beach Fest going on, Michelle Wells. About 2 decades, yeah. You have Beach Fest going on. Outside of Beach Fest, you have, again, Inspector Show and many other activities that take place there. That one generates a lot of income for many individuals out here. The vendors who come and sell close to it and who sell in it. Yeah? The people who get a job in these activities and so. So there's a lot of money that is invested there. And in my belief, even if you want to make the 1st of August a holiday, and you say this is the actual day that the slaves were freed, that you want to make that into a public holiday, I myself have absolutely no problem with that. None. But you remove the Monday that is Rainbow City. So instead of saying to the people of St. Andrew, who were the recipients and who were the people, the originators, everything, of the Rainbow City Festival, instead of saying to them that through your Ministry of Culture or your Department of Culture or Division, I don't know what they have, they're downgrading so much, I don't know what they have now. Instead of saying to St. Andrew people that, hey, Rainbow City used to be this, and probably one of these days we'll have to pull up some of the videos from old Rainbow City and show what Rainbow City was, and say that we want to help you to get Rainbow City back to that stage. So we want to bring back Rainbow City, where you have the streets filled with people, where vendors could come and make some money, where you have the culture on full display during the Rainbow City Festival and so on, where the Calypsonians could go up at different parts and sing, where you can have the different cultural groups taking part and everything. Instead of saying to the people of St. Andrew that we want to try and bring that back, you just move the holiday. You see how they think? Because it's the same mindset, the same attitude that they've had. While last year, they come and they tell you on Independence Day, you can't have this, you can't have that, you can't have the other. After the police already granted permission to people to have it, came to the same people and said, you can't have this activity and you can't have that activity and you can't have the other. It's the same mentality that is saying to us now that when it comes to quote-unquote Heroes Day, that when it comes to that day, that we are being directed and dictated to as to what we should and should not do on that particular day. Pretty soon they go on to tell you what to do on Christmas Day, what you could do on Boxing Day. They might tell you can't go and get married on Boxing Day because they're that fast that they're coming and telling you what you can and cannot do on those specific days. So do not be surprised that pretty soon they come and they want to tell us what we can and can't do on other days. On the Easter weekend. Because the Easter weekend, lo and behold, is one of the most religiously concentrated period of days. That you have Good Friday and then you have Easter Sunday, Easter Monday, that period of time there. So they may very well come and tell us that you can't have any activities around that point in time, which I do not think is the role of the government. If people have a religious inclination and they decide that they want to spend that time on a religious camp or in religious activities, that is up to them. But if there are other people who do not partake, or may even be Christians but may not be of the denominations that recognize those specific holidays at that time, they need to be respected as well. So if they want to go and have another activity, that should be up to them, and they should have the opportunity to be able to do that. But you ain't hearing the NDC activists in St. Andrew. Those who still claim to be NDC activists, some of them quiet now. But you're not hearing those who claim to be NDC activists in the St. Andrew area saying anything about the fact of what has taken place there. Yes, we know Rainbow City has declined into near nothing over the years. The approach should be, how do we fix it? How do we work with the St. Andrew Development Organization and other St. Andrew-based organizations to get Rainbow City back to what it should be? Not just get rid of it totally and get rid of the weekend totally. Because outside of St. Andrew and outside of Rainbow City, there are other activities that take place in that time. And remember, there are many Grenadians who are based overseas. Many of you are listening right now from New York and North Carolina. Many of you are listening from Texas and from different parts of Miami, who are listening from Washington, D.C. and Maryland, wherever you're listening from. Those who are listening in Canada, many of you come back before that time so that over the Rainbow City weekend you can get onto some of the activities, the cruises, and so they may have the Monday and different things like that. Because the week is usually filled with activities, leading down to the Soca Monarch on the Friday and the Panorama on the Saturday. And sometimes you have the Queen Show on the Thursday. I say sometimes because I realize they're playing around with certain things. You have pre-day and all those things that are set there. So instead of trying to add more activities, what you are doing is that you have removed the opportunity for additional activities in that space of time. If you're building a carnival product, if you're trying to build Spice Mass, you cannot be putting restrictions and you cannot be making moves that are going to affect the greater product. What you should be doing is things to improve it. So it'd be saying, Rainbow City has gotten to this stage. Yeah, Rainbow City has gotten to this stage. What can we do as a government to save it? Or to not even save it because it's dead. What can we do now to resurrect it? Who can we speak to? What are the groups that we could encourage and get in contact with? That should be the way that you're heading to deal with that now. That should be the approach that is being taken in relation to this issue now. Not just high-handedly saying, well, we get rid of that. We put in this day, so we get rid of that. That can't be the approach. That cannot be the approach. And it's the way it was done, you know. It's the way it was done. So there has to be a proper approach. And someone is asking about Carriacou Regatta. I'm trying to remember the exact time for Carriacou Regatta. I think it's around that time as well. So you have to be very careful with what you're doing and how it affects the overall product. And they're not looking at that. They're not looking at how it affects the overall product. That is what you need to look at. How does it affect the overall product that you're looking to market as Spice Mass? What are you doing to improve? What activities are you trying to add? Because I'll tell you something, especially now that you have that August 1st, if I was a vendor or I was a promoter, I would be very suspect to try and put any activities on that day based on the prior actions of this administration. So they say August 1st, now they say it's official now, it's been gazetted, everything. August 1st is now officially Emancipation Day. So a promoter may decide, well, I want to do a show on that particular day. They may contact regional artists to be here to perform along with local artists. That happens around that time. There's nothing wrong with that. When they have their activities, they call for Killer and they call for different artists out of Grenada. So they may go and put all of that together. And then what happened for Independence or what happened for quote-unquote Heroes Day may happen again. And you may spend your money to go and have this show And at the end of the day, it's a problem. We need to look at that carefully. Let me see if I get Senator the Honorable Nolan Cox on.
Waiting still. Like regular rising, them got stuck on a hill. The teachers and him and knees tired fret. And them no still say how they live to regret. The healthcare condition is overbearing.
And we know they can't come and say it's a mistake on the printout. This is something, an official document that has been sent out.
And the more people cry, all you're doing nothing. The hospitals.
So there's a broader situation when it comes to you've removed, you put in something, but based on what you have done before, we recognize that you usually put restrictions when you have something. So they made Heroes Day and they put restrictions on that day. So if you're trying to have an activity on that particular day, you can't. Yeah? You can't. So Senator Cox will be joining us. He's just trying to sign in. As I said, you know it goes with internet in his zone.
And everywhere you pass, people balling, balling. Everywhere you go, mama, people balling, balling. People can't feed their families, balling, balling. All over the country, people balling, balling. People feeling
If that had been done under the new National Party.
weak, but on your only planting flowers like.
But yeah, they do thing under somebody saying Regatta is same weekend as Rainbow City. As much Caracas as I've never been to Regatta or Carriacou Carnival. I like Carriacou when it quiet. I can't quite.
The old people have a saying, who can't hear this feel? Listen, sir.
So I'm saying the best approach may be to see how they can improve and recreate. And even if you want to try something new, but to just get rid of the Rainbow City weekend and you say, okay, because of course, since it's the 1st of August, the days would be changing. The days of the week would be changing and that sort of thing. So I don't know what they're doing. We, Papa, let me see if we get Senator Cox on there. Senator the Honorable Nolan Cox, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Are you hearing me?
Yes, we're hearing you loud and clear, sir. And folks, let me just bring up Senator Cox properly. Yes, I've got it here. And let me make sure I get this here. Right. Yes, so folks, we have on the line with us Senator the Honorable Nolan Cox. And a special good night to you, sir.
Special good night, Sheldon, and special good night to the listeners, viewers. And let me take this opportunity to extend a Happy New Year to everybody, the entire Tri-Island state. We have to be grateful, who's been given opportunity to see 2025. We always have to be grateful for that. And so we should always indicate such once given an opportunity to read the bread of life.
Yes, indeed. 2024 was indeed a hard year for a lot of people, and especially the people of Carriacou and Petit Martinique. It was a really, really rough year, and 2025 in a lot of instances has started out just as rough for a lot of those folks. What is the latest? What is the latest with Carriacou, Petit Martinique?
Well, Sheldon, as you indicated, we had a rough second half of 2024, and some of the core issues still remain as we move into 2025. And unfortunately, some of it will prolong for some time because of actions or inactions of the government of the day that can cause those issues to prolong. We believe so. And so we are still grappling with a lot of critical issues that are not being addressed. In some cases, it's gotten worse. However, we must commend the people of Carriacou and Petit Martinique who continue to to find a way to get by, given the circumstances that they face, who find a way to get by on a daily basis, to make it for the kids, for the loved ones. So it's been a rough few months for us. It's been stressful for quite a lot. Along the way, we have lost some loved ones. Along the way, some persons are not in the best, find themselves not in the best of health, and so it's a challenging time. But Sheldon, the number one issue that remains core and frontal in people's mind and people's daily life is the issue of housing. As you know, coming off of that hurricane, a devastating hurricane in July, and that issue is still the main issue of concern. The last time we spoke, I was on GVN to the point, and I raised the issue of housing, and other feedback came thereafter, which we'll get into probably later on. But I think as a responsible opposition, it is important that we focus on those key issues that are affecting persons, and in the context of bringing awareness, so those issues can be addressed. And housing continues to be at the top of that issue. As you know, Sheldon, the government took some initiatives. We were in Parliament, and when they passed the supplemental bill, appropriation bill, and some 200 houses were allocated for mainland Grenada. And because of myself and the National Party being vocal on not Carriacou and Petit being left out, even after getting the blunt of the hurricane impact, being left out of that allocation of housing, then some action was taken thereafter to allocate some want of the description of the better build back houses. Right, so that is what they were called, better build back houses. And some were allocated to Carriacou. At the time of those who were being allocated, I think sometime in September of last year, it was indicated to the people of Carriacou and Petit that 50 of those houses were going to be ready by December. As a matter of fact, I think it was even more close to the point of saying that he's going to be ready for Christmas of 2024. Sheldon, to date, unfortunately, none of those houses are ready or have been delivered to anyone. Those better big back houses.
Well, we are hearing differently now, because I know this sometime today, probably since he knew that you were coming on, because we know the minister likes to follow you. Anytime you come on, he want to come on something after. Mentioning as much as 68 houses completed in Carriacou and Petit Martinique. That's his claim, 68 houses. But you're saying now that none have been handed over and so on. Hello? Oh, but it seems as though we may have lost Senator Cox there. I am not sure. I know the picture froze a while ago. Let's see if, let me see if I could fix it on my end here, or if it's on his end, because as you know, folks, you'll have to bear with us, because you do know the challenges that Senator Cox faces. Okay, I think we've got him back. Yeah, I think we've got you back, Senator Cox. Let me just bring you back up here, full screen. Yeah. Oh boy, I know he's gone. Where did it go, Lord? Yeah, folks, I will have to. Let me see here. Yeah, give us one moment here. Yes, all right, nice. Yeah. So I think I've got him back now. I don't know what just happened there. It cut off totally, and that's on my end. Not on your end, Senator Cox. It cut off on my end there for a short while. So I think you're back now.
Yes, I'm back.
Yes, I was saying that the minister, we know he likes to follow you around. So we were hearing him saying now that some 68 houses, I believe that was the figure I saw, have been built. But you're saying now that none of those have been handed out and so on. Give us the details of what is taking place.
So, what we do know, there is this organization in Trinidad and Tobago. I think the name of the NGO is the Hands That Serve. I think I stand corrected. They graciously donated 27 prefab houses to Grenada, and more so for Carriacou and Matnick. Those 27 houses, not a single one was gifted or granted to Matnick, who also was significantly devastated. I mean, 27 houses. I even if you say give Matnick 5, yeah, I think that is reasonable. That is fair, and not one was given to Matnick. I don't know what was the reason or excuse that was advanced for not doing so, for leaving Matnick out. Additionally, I stand correct in the numbers. It could be 6 to 8 of those houses were erected at a new site in Dumfries, a new housing site. I think Sheldon, you had raised that site in Dumfries.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
To my knowledge, the last time I checked, there is no electricity infrastructure leading to that area, meaning that there is no poles, no wire, no electrical wire, no internet, no nothing going to those areas, nowhere near those houses.
And that situation still exists.
I believe so. I didn't verify today. The last time we spoke was a few weeks ago, so I want to believe that it still exists.
I saw some photos today, and I believe those photos have been within the last few days. And again, the same situation. No sight of any electrical connections.
I am making the point. I'm making the point, Sheldon, that not to take away from the persons who were gifted those houses or granted those houses, but to make the point to say that they are not going to be able to use those houses as they would want to right now until some electricity, some power, they may have to use some generator. And generator operation is very costly. And I am saying that some of those houses could have gone to Matnick and put into use right away. And the government did indicate that they're going to buy some 200 more prefab houses. I think they did indicate that somewhere. Sometime I heard that. And so it not mean that those persons in the Dumfries area were going to be left out. If houses are going to come, you can always put them there when you have that electricity infrastructure built in. And I'm making all this point to say, Sheldon, is just that this recovery process has been characterized by poor judgment, poor planning, poor decisions, unfair actions. I mean, those are the real characteristics of this recovery process, and there's clear examples to justify such. And one of them is just what I'm explaining. Why build out houses in a particular area that is not even ready for housing, and you have persons in Matnick who are there and could have immediately gotten shelter and find themselves utilize those houses. So those houses will remain there, and that area is one of the area that the young lady, I think Samantha was her name, that there was this issue about she not wanting to move. So you're asking her to move to Dumfries, and you're saying, no, Dumfries doesn't have any electricity infrastructure, no water infrastructure, no nothing, and you're asking person to move to that site. I am saying that if you want to develop the site, this is all good and well. There's nothing wrong with wanting to develop the site. But if the necessary amenities are not in place, why put the houses there and they're just going to sit there for some time until you get that infrastructure in? So that is my take on that. And those houses basically are donations and doesn't have anything to do with government direct support or funding. Albeit government would have expended some expenses in terms of moving things, transportation, and things like that. But in honest, specific to the houses, those houses were provided and furnished by that NGO.
So let me ask as well, because you spoke of the electricity and the fact that there's no water infrastructure. One of the things that we heard in the days after the hurricane and continuing has been that any construction that's taking place, and so especially in Carriacou, they have to put in things like the cistern and so on for water storage. Was that done before the construction of these houses? In other words, was the platform done for the cistern and also for the sewage? Because if you're building these things, you're not going to build these houses and then there's not a sewage line that you're connecting to for the area, especially if you plan on developing that area further. Do you see
Well,
the beginnings of a sewage plan at least, or a plan along these
well,
lines? Or is it
those
just we dump them
houses
there and we dump them there?
those houses come with individual sewage units.
Mm-hmm.
So they come with individual septic tank and sock away stuff. So
Okay, so
those
that
have to
part was
be
sorted.
installed.
Mm-hmm.
That have to be installed. So they come separately with that.
Mm-hmm.
So that is I say I'm going to tell you complete, because these were complete in the context
Mm-hmm.
of having all those. I think in the house also came wired. The electrical work were already done. So it's just a matter for the infrastructure from the service provider, so that persons can access the houses. So, but I want to make the point, Sheldon. You remember the last time I was going to make the point about the lack of planning, the lack of critical data. So tell me, how much we've been hearing the island is 80% damaged, 90% damaged, but we have not heard any real numbers. And the reason why we are having those issues, and the last time I spoke about the $15,000 for roof support, and it wasn't a matter of critiquing, but a matter of explaining and why it is important to have the real data. If you have real data, what happens? It gives you information, so you are better informed to make better decisions. Now, what has happened with the absence of no real data as to how much persons were actually damaged and what is the severity of the damage or what type of damage that they have? If you have that information, it means that there is not a need for you to give a blanket $15,000 for roof support across the board. There may not be a need for that. Some persons' need may not be as much as $15,000, and some persons' need will go over. But because of that lack of information, you have this blanket $15,000, and it's really creating an issue, because for persons who, and I did indicate the last time, they are grateful, and Carriacouans, we are grateful for whatever support that we receive, and I'm certain that they are grateful for the $15,000 support for the material support. But what is happening is that it is not sufficient, because in most cases it is not sufficient to really help persons recover. So a lot of the work, you have the cost of labor and the other materials, is on the pockets of persons. And so my thing is because of this lack of this poor planning and this lack of information, poor assessment, you have government now just making this blanket $15,000 across the board. It's not working. Albeit we're hearing that some persons might be lucky to receive more, but that is a pick and choose issue. But that is the core issue. The core issue is that persons are not being able to recover properly, because the assessment is not directly correlated to the severity of the damage. That has been the issue, and that continues to be a main issue for persons. This may result in persons having materials just sitting there and can't really do anything, because what you have is probably not enough to finish the job, so you probably wouldn't start, but you would sit on the material hoping and waiting that you probably get some more, And so that is an issue. That is a core issue. So I just raised that as one of the outcomes of the poor planning in terms of the recovery process. I mean, look, we have independence celebrations coming up, and I noticed that I see a calendar of events out for independence celebrations in Carriacou, and it's going to be taking place in the Botanical Gardens because all our playing fields are littered with garbage. And the garbage is still an issue. It is still an issue, you know, and persons are very much concerned. They move all the galvanized from Hillsborough to Haverville. You just move from one side to the next. So it's still an issue, Sheldon, and as I said, poor planning. A lot of funds are wasted, although the rep indicated that he doesn't have an issue spending money once he's to clean up Carriacou. But I don't understand the definition of cleanup, because if you're taking garbage from one site and you put it on the next site, is that really cleaning up? And I think that is the question. Is that really cleaning? So let's get back to the Better Build Back houses. As I indicated, to date, none of those 50 houses that were promised. I think the first one is considered to be the model, and that first one is not finished as yet. It's not delivered as yet, and we are in January. So it's just poor planning, and then you hear that there is issues of material shortage and whatsoever. If you're planning, you're going to anticipate those things and you're going to plan for them. I'm not saying that you won't have delays, but if those houses were to be delivered in 6 to 8 weeks, we're what 4 months? You know, so and nothing has been delivered as yet. So this recovery process is really becoming stressful for Carriacou. It is becoming a problem than really helping in a sense. So I think that is some of the things that I really want to look at. And Sheldon, we have plenty more. We have plenty more issues, and I really want to spend a little time. I know that you may want me to delve on a couple of issues on the national level.
So, Senator Cox, we're talking Carriacou and Petit Man. We're going to reach on the national in that time, because one of the things that I was going to ask you about, and I'm pretty sure it's probably what you were coming to speak about, but I'll mention it. You could either deal with it now or later, is the issue of water. We still have that situation. A lot of houses down, the cistern there, the water in it spoiled. Forget that. What is the situation with water? I don't know if you want to deal with that now or after. But
I can take it now. I can certainly take it now, and I'll tie it in again, Sheldon, with the issue and what has characterized this recovery process or rebuilding process. Poor planning, poor decision. Now, you're moving into a dry season. That is not going to be a normal situation for Carriacou and Petit Man because of the number of houses that are damaged. I'm quite certain that there is no plans in place to deal with the likely or inevitable water shortage crisis that may face us. The severity we don't know, because the weather is in God's hands and not in my hand. But we have to plan based on what we know in terms of our season. And I'm quite certain that there is no plan because there is no plans to deal with that or to address that. Currently, as we speak, Sheldon, the Nawasa desalination plant, the main water supply service provider outside of private for Carriacouans and businesses, has been down probably for more than a week or so. No trucks currently they're not allowed to go at the plant to take water for private persons. So that is an issue. So that plant, the issue of breakdowns, stoppages for whatever reason, those are things that are constant, those are things that are normal. But the issue on hand is that we had an opportunity to have in our possession additional mobile desalination units that were gifted to us by the Samaritan's Purse, and we refused those. We didn't take those. We allowed them to go back with it, and now we are going to a period when the demand for water is going to be at its highest. I spoke about it, and if you recall, I did spoke about it before, and I said that we are going to have a challenge going forward. Every additional opportunity or equipment or device or medium in which can help us to increase our water supply, or make water, potable water available during the dry season, we should take it. I did indicate that allowing those persons who supporting and helping us to leave was too early. It was too early. And we are moving into a situation this dry season where we just have to, I don't know, there might be a possibility that we might have to barge in water. That is a likelihood. I could recall in 2012, we had a situation where that had to be done because we had a significant prolonged dry period. And we are not hoping for that, not when we are done in terms of our roof stock. But the government they have not been proactive. They have been reactive for the most part. And I wouldn't be surprised if tomorrow you might see some reaction based on my me speaking on those issues tonight. You know, why does it have to be that somebody have to speak about something? If you're planning and you're listening to the concerns and issues of the people of Carriacou and Petit Martinique, you will go ahead and be proactive and get those things done. So that issue of water is a major issue. Another major issue has to do that link to housing. You know that the government would have given some measures, put some measures in place. And I would love to hear, and I would love to hear how much persons who were able to access grant or loan funding from the GDB Bank. Yeah? You know that, you remember that initiative, Sheldon, that was announced?
Yes, indeed, yeah.
And I challenge the government that initiative would not be successful as it intended because of the terms and conditions and the measures that they put in place. Because what a lot of people found out afterwards is that you must qualify for a loan before you could get a grant.
So you must qualify for the loan first. So you must have the various things that would qualify you for a loan before you get the grant.
Before you could access the grant.
Yeah. So to be honest, I did hear them mentioning that when they started speaking about it. But yeah. I wasn't clear. I thought probably they're making a mistake or something. But to have that, come on, man.
Yeah. So I would love to hear the numbers because I'm making this point in the context that there are a number of persons who would really and truly who are in need to be able to access soft financing to help with their rebuilding efforts or even with the business recovery efforts. There are a number of persons who are looking for opportunities in that regard. And I would love to hear what the uptake is like. I think I would love to hear some numbers. I stand corrected, but I don't believe that facility is going to be as successful as intended. That is my honest belief. Honest belief. But we speak about Carriacou, and we'll come back to Carriacou, but I must touch on Petit Martinique because Petit Martinique, my last visit to Petit Martinique has been heavy.
Yeah.
Heavy on me.
I was just about to raise the issue of Petit Martinique. I've been seeing some posts by some folks who are living, they're not hearing about Petit Martinique. They are living on Petit Martinique. They are living the reality. And some of what I've been hearing there, I'll allow you to expound on it because you have physically been there recently. So go right ahead.
You know, when I was there last, a few weeks, probably about 3 to 4 weeks ago, thereabout. I think just sometime after convention. Convention was just before convention. I think somewhere thereabout. I visited Peter Matlick, and there was not one single government initiative for rebuilding a house was started. Not one in Peter Matlick at that time. I stand there and I just could not believe. I mean, based on what I'm seeing, I mean, houses crumbling. I'm talking about in some cases, wall houses has collapsed. Some persons just the stills from the foundation. That is what has remained, and not one single initiative in terms of building back. And not one. I'm talking about just like in the second week of December. They may have started after that. I don't know, but that for me was very instructive. And Sheldon, just to add a little light moment, I think I did with it last time. Prior to the 22 elections and right thereafter, there was this Pity Matlick Carriacou Grenada. I think it has gone back. I think it has reversed to Grenada, Carriacou, and then Pity Matlick last. We used to be hearing Pity Matlick first in the speeches. But I could not believe that not a single initiative started I'm talking about early December. And one of the core issues that is affecting people in Pity Matlick is what's supposed to be the jetty in the Windward area. And I did spoke about it and indicate and give some suggestions as to how the government could provide an opportunity, whether it be temporary, also for persons traversing between Pity Matlick and Carriacou to come in on the Windward end. So there is no brought in no way that a small boat, a large boat can board safely on the Windward side, on the eastern side, on the Windward Harbour of the island currently. I was informed that there was some announcement of work starting on the Windward jetty sometime in the middle of December. I mean, and that again is characterized by this recovery process misleading people. Misleading. Just the same way they say 50 houses going to be ready for Christmas, they say that the jetty is going to start. There is no need, children. There is no need to put out this announcement that is not going to be achievable. Why mislead people like that? If you say it's going to start in 3-4 months based on whatever the engineers say or the contract or timeline, fine. But you're just making wild statements and just misleading people. It's unfair. It's unfair. It is unnecessary. You just don't do that. The people of Pity Matlick deserve better. They deserve better. And I'm saying that there is an opportunity to do something temporary in the meantime while government, whatever means, try to find funding for those works to replace the jetty. If they want to upgrade it or do it better or do it out of concrete, that is all good and well, and that will be welcome. But not because I speak about it publicly, you just run out and give some false indication that it's going to happen like in the morning. That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense. These are real issues. Persons are affected. Their livelihoods are affected. And I think it requires proper, honest, and fair responses. That is my belief. And so I mean, I had to single that out because I just think it's really, really crazy. Sheldon, right now, a number of service providers have not been able to receive uh, payments from government, in some cases as long as 60 days. And that is creating an issue.
Mm-hmm.
It is creating an issue. I don't want to believe that it is a repeat or something synonymous with what has taken place with the support for fishermen and farmers. And we know for a fact that there are bona fide farmers, bona fide fishermen who were deliberately names were removed from the list for financial support who sustained damages. It was deliberately removed for political reasons. And this is, I mean, Sheldon, this is crazy. I mean, you're talking about a disaster. A bona fide fisherman, a person who does fishing for their livelihood, you are going to deny them in a situation of emergency, a situation where that is what they use for their livelihood, for their families, for their survival. You are going to deny them because of their political preference or perceived political preference, because we don't really know if people vote. And that's a fact. So the perceived political preference, you have taken a decision in the midst of a disaster, in the midst of a crisis. I think if any time that a country, a community desired fairness, working together, unity, is especially during a crisis time. And this recovery process is marked by a stark contrast of that. That is a core issue. Persons are fearful of, in some cases, of saying how they feel, how they are impacted, how they are affected, for fear that they may be targeted, or the families may be targeted, or denied support for housing or whatever support from relief measures, because it's happening. It's real. Those are the real issues. You have BRC wire that was donated. I don't know certainly if the government purchased, but I know that quite a bit was donated. Also, the water tanks, the black water tanks. And those have been distributed unfairly. Some persons are denied because of the same reason of perceived political preference. Not in a crisis. Not when we're going into a dry season where people need every opportunity to store as much water as possible. You are denying them that. I don't understand what you stand to achieve by doing that. I don't.
But
I really don't.
I see that especially in Petit Martinique, where some people were given some stuff for fencing. I believe it's the same BRC. It's not
Yes.
proper fencing, why it's BRC that they were given for fencing their property, especially those that have had animals were being given. And you had quite a few families who traditionally, everybody knows. Because everybody know everybody on Petit Martinique. Everybody knows
Certainly.
that these people have animals right now, and have had significant amounts of animals before. And for some reason, that is yet to be explained or discussed or so on, these people were denied the same that was given to other people, some who don't even have animals. But they were given the BRC, and I'm trying to understand why. Why do they say
That is what this whole recovery process is characterized. It's characterized by significant unfairness, a lot of disrespect, poor decisions. People have been embarrassed, and could you imagine? Look what happened in my case. In the case of my mom, she didn't even receive materials. And it was announced nationally that she received support. So that is what is happening. That is what is happening, and it's very sad that we are in this situation. And trust me, this is very, very sad. This is unlike Carriacou. That is something that we definitely cannot support those kind of initiatives. And let me give you an example, Sheldon. And I'm saying this so that people could understand why I am making this point. And those are the key issues. Those are the key issues that people are affected about. And the issue of this, the lack of data and why it's so important. Now, some time back, there was a live done by the parliamentary rep indicating that some persons have their money in the bank and they want to come and get support from government. And it's really unfortunate that such statement had to be made. But it shows how uninformed and lack of understanding of the person who made that statement in terms of the context of how people live and some of the challenges and some of the issues that people face. And let's say, for example, somebody who Carriacouans who left here in the 50s, 60s, whatever the case may be, the 70s, and traveled to, say, the UK, and return home, decided coming back home to the land that they love, they dearly love, Carriacou. Build a home, may have some savings, some residual savings, either if they sell the flat in the UK, or if they mortgage the flat to come and build a house here. Now, that person lost their roof, of course, everything inside is going to be damaged. We are saying now that person have money. Let's assume that person may have like what, $70,000, $80,000 saved, even $100,000. That money is not enough, yeah, for that person to do the entire repair on the house. So it is clear that if you don't have the information in terms of the degree of the significance of the damage, you wouldn't understand how much help each person needs. So you must do an assessment. Now, if that person decides to use all that $80,000, use up all the money to move out the roof, well, they might get the roof back. No appliances, no chair, no bed, nothing inside. That person is basically in the same situation as almost anybody else. Because in most cases, those persons' homes are valued much more because it's probably much more larger than some of the other homes. And so once it sustains damages, obviously the cost of repairs is going to be more. So I think it's somewhat unfair, to just single out people because they may have worked hard to save the money for a rainy day, and to deny them support. And in some cases, they may be paying even more taxes than the parliamentarian, who is benefiting from the state. So, and you're talking about you have a disaster, and you take a decision to deny people because you assume or you believe that whatever money they have is sufficient for the recovery process. Who does that? I don't know. So I make that point and I give that explanation so that people could understand. Somebody who lost their entire home, they get $15,000 worth of material. You say for a roof. Roof support, that is what was said. Come on. Just think about it. So that is the situation, and it's because of this poor planning, poor decisions. We are in this situation on the sister islands of both Carriacou and Petit, where we are hoping that the government can improve in its actions. We are hoping that they could do better. We are hoping that they are planning to provide all the necessary support for persons, especially coming for this dry season. We are really hoping that they do. Because, you know, we know for a fact, Sheldon, that Carriacouans deserve much better. Martiniquans deserve much better than they have been treated right now. You know, there is this response that you see taking place ever so often, or we have to take everything one step at a time. Fine. There is nothing wrong with taking things one step at a time. But if every time we take a step is the wrong step, are we going anywhere? We're not going anywhere. So it's not about taking the step, but it's what steps are you taking? And that is the core issue. That is the core issue that is affecting Carriacouans. It's just poor.
Let me ask a question here, because we've seen after I know you may not want to speak on this, but we've seen the appointment of a new permanent secretary in Carriacou. Is that an acknowledgement of the failure of the previous permanent secretary? That because I know that in the shadow of the hurricane, we were hearing from the MP for Carriacou and Petit Martinique that this was the best permanent secretary. He went in Parliament and he was boasting in Parliament.
Correct, yes.
That he has, and he called him by name and he said he has the best permanent secretary and how hard that permanent secretary is working and so on. And even when you heard different stories about what was taking place with that individual who held the office of permanent secretary for Carriacou and Petit Martinique, again, the minister came out and defended him. But now you have taken the best permanent secretary, according to what the minister is saying, and his surrogates. You've taken the best man out, and you've brought in somebody new, inexperienced as a permanent secretary, and gave them the option of learning while they're in Carriacou how to relate to it. Because the position of permanent secretary is not a joke position. It's a very important position in any ministry or department that you have. The permanent secretary is a very important and strategic position. And if you're saying you had the best person, and now you dump the best person and you bring somebody else in, is it an acknowledgement that they were wrong, that they did not have the best person in that position? And now to take somebody who, in my view, they're a good person, I know them personally, I have no problem with them, but they're inexperienced in that field, and put them at the task to come and, because now you have an inexperienced MP along with an inexperienced permanent secretary. And both of them have the responsibility to do the reconstruction of Carriacou and Petit Martinique. I think it's a dangerous thing. As I said, I know you may not want to comment on it, but you can.
Well, let me see how best I can. I think it is fair for me to say something. I did mention it briefly, that there were talks of the changing of the guards in terms of the permanent secretary, because we heard it. But this transfer of the PS from Carriacou to the mainland we can speak to a number of things that may be the result of such. But I think the best way I think I can respond to this is to say that, Sheldon, when the National Party was in government, we had took a decision to transfer the same PS to mainland Grenada, and he was in core important ministries. And there were a number of criticisms that were meted out against that decision. Number of radio programs in Carriacou here indicating that PS and this and that, and he should be thing, and he's there and should be in Carriacou and whatsoever, and he's not been utilized, he's been victimized and whatsoever. All sorts of statements were made, and I'm certain that you can recall that particular incident. And so the question is, the National Democratic Congress government is in power. No. And they made the same decision and took the same action as the National Party government to transfer the ZPS to Grenada. And so the question is, was both governments making a bad decision, or did the National Party government make the right decision, and the NDC government is only now saying that that was the right decision? So I only say this for what it's worth, just to put it out there that we were critiqued and criticized vehemently for making that decision, and now they have come and done the same thing. And I think I'll just leave that right there. But
well, I remember the attacks that the New National Party faced for that, victimization, etc., etc., etc. But as we have seen with several situations, when something is done under the New National Party, as far as specific individuals are concerned, it is wrong. But when the same thing is done under an NDC administration, they embrace it as transformational. So this may be one of those situations. They may have transformed what they considered to be wrong. They may have transformed it into being right now. Hence the reason that they have done what they have done.
Well, what I can say is that one of the NDC surrogates said to me when I confronted them on the decision, they said to me that permanent secretaries can be moved from time to time. so
oh, they didn't know that before. They didn't know that before. Okay, that seems to be a sudden realization.
I am saying this on also on the backdrop, Sheldon, that one of the frontal conversations on the ground in Carriacou at the moment, and I have to say, alleged, without core factual information, but I was out for a few days, and before I came back in, I received several calls that there are reports of some funds. I don't know if it's missing monies or funds that cannot be accounted for within the Ministry of Carriacou and Diplomatic Affairs. I mean, I can't really go into it. I don't know which department, but it is a conversation that is taking place in the public. It's probably the most frontal conversation in the public right now. And also a sum is being bantered around, somewhere around some $1 million. As I said, I don't have any information on it, but I don't, they always say that where there's some smoke, there is some fire. There might be fire. So I raise this as this is something that maybe if there are those allegations do have substance, I think maybe the Prime Minister's office may need to look into this. That is a very serious allegation, and for that sum of money not being accounted for or missing, and I think it's something that needs to be looked into, especially in the context of where we are in terms of monies, cash flow. Government need money. We're in a situation where persons need support, and we are hearing, and also we'll get to that some more, the likelihood of increased taxes. We'll talk a little bit about that a little bit more on the national stage. And I am saying that this issue of this allegation of monies that may be missing or unaccounted for is a very serious one that need to be looked into. So that is the conversation that is taking place on the ground. I've been confronted with that several times within the last 3 days, even as recent as last night, even as recent as this morning. Even hearing that
Carriacou is a small place. That's why when they sing Parang around Christmas time, everybody does everybody business. I know you're talking about without calling name. Carriacou
and think about it,
is a small place, huh? All right.
it is evident that some of the conversations are taking place from government workers. So, um, as I said, it's a serious matter. We hope that there is no loss of funds. I mean, we can't afford to lose money like that right now.
Well,
But it is
hopefully,
something that
hopefully it's a situation like the oil documents. They just didn't look for it in the first place. It was there all the time, and they didn't look for it in the right place. So maybe it's like the oil documents. We know we're still waiting to hear about the oil documents,
yeah,
but the oil
so
documents.
that is one of the things. And recently, Sheldon, I want to, you know, one of the things that has marked this administration um, term so far is the attack on people and workers in particular. And it is all good and well to make changes. It is all good. There's nothing wrong with wanting to make a change. But when persons are targeted spitefully, I think it's different than wanting to make a change for developmental purposes or so. And I'm saying this in the context of what transpired recently um, with the removal of the area education officer and replacing with another person. And we're not taking anything away from the person who um, has been afforded the opportunity to now perform the role of area education officer. And it's not anything about that. We're not attacking any individual. Persons go and study, persons upgrade themselves, they have their certification, whatever. And if opportunity comes their way, they present themselves. They have an opportunity, they have a right to decide whether to take it or not. But I'm saying this in the context that, what was the reason behind that? Why would you do such a thing? And to show children that it was not anything in terms of developmental. You move somebody from a particular role, and then you don't have no place to put them. You're trying now to create a position. So if education requires some developmental actions, and you want to bring in somebody who you might be deemed have the competencies or capacities to strengthen education, why should be at the expense of someone else? And I must empathize with the area education officer who has been replaced. And I mean, I know how it feels, especially when people are dedicated and working and trying to get things done, and having to be removed, and then waiting for somebody to call to say where you're going. So it's quite unfortunate. I mean, personally, I don't see that as a big priority. Why?
Also, to receive the letter on a Saturday, not even on the normal work day, they got this letter that says basically report to Grenada on Monday, and they got it on a weekend after everything closed down. You get it on a weekend. That sort of behavior shows a certain level of malicious intent to do that to a person in that way.
That is, yeah. I'm something. I'll repeat it. I'll say it. Somebody met me on the street, and I'm saying this in the context of we have an upcoming elections and the importance of voting and why elections have consequences. And I was taken aback. So the person said, Cox, do you know that the person who was removed, the area education officer was removed, herself and her husband, do you know that they are called to Barbados every year by CXC to mark examination papers? I said, I think so. I said, I knew of the husband, but I'm not certain about the wife. They said, yeah. But they said that, do you know that the person who made the decision to remove her probably can't even do an examination paper for them to correct. Those were the remarks. You know, and I say it in the context that persons can make decisions. No, I tell you, election have consequences. Election have consequences. And so persons have to understand that when you're choosing people to represent you, you have to understand that persons to make decisions that affect your life, your livelihood, and your family. And so it is important that you choose your representative properly. And I mean, just as I said, just so the person said it to me. And I'm saying in the context that sometimes we entrust responsibilities in the hands of persons to make decisions that affect our lives and our livelihood, and not understanding whether or not that person is ready to do so. You know, not taking anything away from anybody. You know, persons can perform once they have the competencies to do so. But you have to understand that there are consequences when you make decisions like that. So I honestly, I was not even thinking about that at all. But that is what was said to me. So it just goes to show you how the ordinary people looks at things, you know, sometimes things that we don't even think about. Mm-hmm. And so it was really kind of enlightening why and I was
how
like,
they view the entire issue.
Yes, you know how they looked at it. And so those are some of the things I'm telling you that, you know, sometimes we underestimate people and the depth in which that they think and how they view things. Mm-hmm. And we all have to be conscious of our decisions and how we do things. I mean, I've been a public servant for I have to say for 15 years and a member of parliament for 10 years. And, you know, decisions you make, you have to think about people. You have to think about people. Mm-hmm. And if you think about yourself, you are going to make poor decisions. And you are going to make decisions that are going to negatively impact people because you're thinking about yourself. And so when you operate in the space of leading and serving and representing people, you have to look at them. You have to look at them and represent properly in that context. And as you say, sometimes this malicious intent to hurt people for one reason or the other. I don't know, because I don't know the area education officer. I don't know what's her politics. I don't know. She's not involved in politics. She don't be frontal in politics or whatsoever. So I can't say it was for that reason, one or the other. But it is clear that it was not from any good or genuine a place that decision was made. Yeah. As you said, letter delivered on a Saturday, you know, no time given, no time.
Just malicious, you know? Totally malicious.
Yeah.
But Senator Cox, we're quickly running out of time. I doubt we will get to the national tonight, but I just wanted to ask you briefly, less than 5 minutes, on two particular issues here. One, psychosocial support for the people of Carriacou and Petit Martinique. Are people receiving counseling? Are there counselors on hand? Is the psychosocial psycho unit of the Ministry of Health, have they been visiting Carriacou? Have they been having clinics? Have they been interacting with people continually? Because especially, and I'm going to say this, when the rainy season comes again, the hurricane season, by the time people hear hurry, they ain't waiting to hear the cane. People will begin to panic on the islands of Carriacou and Petit Martinique. They have not yet mentally and emotionally come to terms with what has happened. I've been interacting with people from Carriacou and Petit Martinique for the past couple months and so. Well, you know, the family part. But outside of that, friends and different people. And many folks have not yet come to terms with what has happened. Is the psychosocial support continuing in a significant way for Carriacou or Petit Martinique, or are they just sending up one or two people to say, We had a one or two people up. And also, what is the situation with healthcare in Carriacou and Petit Martinique? Is it back to where it was before? Is it way under par? I've had situations that I had to assist folks that came down from Carriacou for medical procedures. What is the situation now with both of them? Psychosocial support and healthcare.
Well, first of all, the psychosocial support, I mean, I have seen several notices, publications indicating that that there is availability of psychosocial support. So to what extent, I can't say, but I do know that the Ministry of Social Services have been doing their part in terms of offering that. I've seen it on several occasions. So there is some degree of continuity with it, but I cannot say as to in terms of how far or how wide it has reached, or whether or not persons have been coming or accessing it. I don't know how they are doing it, if they are just going to one place and asking people to come, or they are going to people, or they are doing both. But yes, fortunately, some of that has been happening. To what extent, I don't have the details. And so, in honest, I must commend them for offering that. Because yes, persons do feel traumatized. Persons will remain traumatized for some time. I am telling you because I know it was scary for a number of people. As regards to health, I believe that we do have some challenges, and the reason why I say so is because of the level of transfers that we've been having from Carriacou to mainland. So there have been an increase in transfers, and so because I think some of the equipments were damaged. I think so. There are some things still lacking at the hospital. So in terms of being very cautious, the resident doctor here or the nurses will take a decision to transfer the patient as quickly as possible to Grenada for better care or so. So that is one of the things that I've observed.
And again, we say this not in the context of trying to bad talk the government and say, well,
no,
look, they do this.
No.
But
no,
at least so that Grenadians
certainly
outside of Grenada could know what's happening, because it might be that they might be able to access a brand new ultrasound or an X-ray machine.
Yes,
or they may be able
true.
to access different machines and equipment that is needed to assist Carriacou. And we want to make that clear, because when we say things here, people want to take it and twist it how they want to try and attack people. But we're saying this in that context so that there are folks out there who may have access to it, want to help, and decide that, okay, we've heard Senator Cox speaking about this. Let us look deeper at it.
Yeah, I understand, Sheldon, but it's within that context. I've always I have a keen understanding of what is taking place on the health sector part, and as I said, the increasing transfers indicate to you that they're just being very cautious, and that is the right thing to do. You know, you transfer them to better access to better care. So that is fine. That is all going well. And I see the hospital just kind of open up back after being impacted too as well from the hurricane. So it's going to take some time. I know that they probably have things they have to sort out, and so they're trying. I know from that standpoint. Yeah. Another critical thing I want to touch on, and just to say that, you know, I think the Prime Minister spoke sometime, I think, beyond the headlines. It was last night, I believe.
He was there last night.
So.
I still haven't listened yet. So, but he was there last night.
Yes, I heard snippets of it. I didn't hear any mention made of Carriacou and Petit Martinique and Berry in particular. I could be wrong. I stand corrected because I think I missed some spots. But also, I think in some of his pronouncements was a lot of saying what we have to do, or what should do, what should happen, or what we should do, or how we need to operate. But I'm, and this is the second time I've listened to the Prime Minister, and I'm missing that part of this is what we are doing as a government. This is when we are going to see those changes, those improvements. I'm not hearing that. He's more speaking as an outsider than as somebody who is actually leading the country. And I think for me, that was one of the takeaways, probably the main takeaway from his address. And maybe if I meet him personally, I would say that to him too. You know, if we do have an opportunity to have that conversation, I would just give my honest opinion on you know how I picked up his presentation.
Mm-hmm.
But another critical area, Sheldon, and that has to do with inflation and the rising the cost of goods and services. It is scary for Carriacouans. I mean, today somebody told me they went to buy some green bananas, and the person tell them $7 a pound. He said, "Look, somebody offered me some tree to plant, and I think I'm gonna plant them tree now because I mean it's scary. It is super scary. Persons are ad hoc increasing prices. Some business places are just I know that some are complying, but some are just increasing their prices, using the opportunity to take advantage of people. I think this is something that the Office of the Prime Minister, through the Ministry of Finance, have to take a close look on and to act swiftly on it. And the second thing to say that I understand that there are notices been going out from Inland Revenue to household owners indicating revaluation of properties. And I don't know that revaluation of property is an attempt to decrease the value. More than likely, some properties will be valued upwards, especially if you just rebuilt your house after burial. It's more brand new in the true sense of the word. So there is a likelihood that we are going to see an increase in property taxes. There is a likelihood. I'm not saying that it will happen, but based on the actions of the Inland Revenue now, there is a possibility. I'm not certain if the Prime Minister did spoke about the budget, when it's going to happen. He did say either January or February, but I was hoping by now some definitive indication will come to the nation as to when we're going to hear the national budget. So that is. I don't know if he had made any mention to it in the address. I'll probably go back and listen to its entirety.
Yeah,
but those are some of the things that are. Pardon me?
No, I said I need to do that as well. I haven't listened to it at all up to now.
So, but I stand corrected if he did made mention of it or did announce when it's going to happen. I didn't hear any news about when budget is going to be, any feedback from his interview. But I thought that those were some missed opportunities to address some of the key issues affecting the country at the moment. Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. One of the issues I wanted to raise with you before we run out of time, we're down to roughly 10 minutes now, is the issue of the state of our roads. We've been having lots of complaints. I know you as a former Minister of Infrastructure would be well versed. We know that the supplemental budget had some 15 or so million, 15, 16, 17, somewhere around there. Million. That was just for the period of August to December. Yet still, we have people ending up in the body workshop, all sort of stuff, ending up in the garage because of potholes, losing tires, denting rims, drop links gone, steering ends gone. What do you have to say about what is taking place now? In fact, in the minds of many people, they're saying this is the worst they've seen the roads in nearly 20 years. This is the worst that they've seen the states of the roads throughout Grenada.
It's a fact that it is the worst. In recent time, this has been the worst. I was driving. I even cried by the time I pick up the. That wasn't. I didn't think it was a pothole. It probably was maybe a sinkhole. By the time I picked it up, it was too late. I mean, I literally, cringed because of the impact with that hole. The roads are terrible. There no beating around it. The roads are terrible, and I go back to my initial comment and my opinion in terms of the ministry for implementation. I mean, a whole ministry was created to increase implementation or to improve implementation. And it has not worked out. It has not worked out. And I wait for the budget, I'm waiting for the budget because, I am going to dive into it. Look at the supplemental. Yeah? Some 200 houses supposed to be built between now and then you extend the budget to February because you indicated that there was some mention of, because of the supplemental just passed, there was no need to close off the fiscal year right now, but it could go into next year. Some 200 houses was supposed to be built. Yeah? And that's just one example. That has not happened. It will not happen before the next budget cycle. And so I don't know this Ministry of Implementation and Mobilization or whatever. The question is, who is the ministry mobilizing for? I think that is what needs to be looked into. And who the ministry is implementing for. I don't know. I don't know if it's the people of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit-Matic. It might be somebody else. Because it has not performed at all. It has not performed properly at all. I said, let the numbers show me the numbers, and then we can have a conversation. I stand corrected, but I believe that ministry was not needed. It only increased our recurrent expenditure. You could have had a solid department attached to either finance or attached to either the Ministry of Infrastructure to perform, to increase our implementation of our projects. So I stand corrected by that. But the roads are terrible. Our roads are terrible. Yeah.
Yeah, because you're hearing folks complaining about it on a daily basis. The truck drivers, the bus drivers, the taxi men. I know some people don't like to hear when I talk about taxi men. The taxi men, the average person who is even a passenger on the bus with what is going on there right now, because it's island wide. It's not to say one specific area. I spent some time, especially in the St. David area, during the last few weeks, and it's bad. If the people of St. David don't want to speak for themselves, I'm speaking for them. It's bad. It's bad in some areas really there. You know, and you mentioned the creation of that ministry. And in fact, what it seems was done there is the creation of another level of bureaucracy to get things done. Instead of, and they're saying that it was to remove the bureaucracy. I think what it did is it created another level of bureaucracy in that some people now, they're waiting for that ministry. The ministry that should have been doing it is now waiting on the other ministry to do it. The other ministry is saying, well, that ministry responsibility. Meanwhile, you're going through the tunnel and you're coming out into a pothole. Not what a pothole now is pothole city. It's now one. They have children and grandchildren now. So you're coming through the tunnel and you're going into a pile of potholes. And this is not just for us as Grenadians, people visiting.
I did indicate that having that extra ministry will create overlapping of roles and responsibilities. That is all that it's going to do. It's going to create overlap. And I'm certain that it has, and it will continue to be like that.
Yes.
You know, so, yeah, but it's the roads are, it's sad. The roads are sad. I know at times in specific areas, when I was the Minister for Infrastructure, we have had some challenges, especially during the rainy season, with frequenting potholes. And we had a plan how to deal with it, and we you plan and you have a response mechanism in place, but nothing is happening. Nothing is happening at all. Yes, I don't know if they have enough teams. I don't know if they have materials. I don't know if they have the colas. I don't know. But what is taking place if we continue like that? We're gonna have a public outcry if it's not already there.
Mm-hmm. Senator, the Honorable Nolan Sebastian Cox. I gave you your middle name too tonight. Any final words to the people of Grenada and in specific the islands of Carriacou and Petit-Matic, inclusive of the Carriacou and Petit-Matic diaspora out there in New York, in Miami. You know, people from Carriacou are all over. And the thing with Carriacou and Martinique people, we tend to stick together outside there. When you ain't finding one here and the next one over, so is a community. We close by. We could reach by a relative or a cousin or a neighbor that used to be with us in Carriacou. So your message to the Carriacou and Petit Martinique diaspora and the people of Carriacou and Petit Martinique who are on the islands right now as we get ready to close off tonight's program.
Well, sure, it's always a pleasure to be given an opportunity to speak to Carriacou and Carriacouans wherever they may reside. If there's one thing that is consistent with all Carriacouans, is a deep love and appreciation for, and Petit Martiniquans as well. They have a strong affinity and a deep love for the island. So both Carriacouans and Petit Martiniquans, our home, our place, our island of birth, and also Grenada, of course. We have a deep love and appreciation for it, and it doesn't matter where we reside. We'll do whatever we can to do so. Do you know that there are persons who reside overseas and they only listen to local radio? So I mean that just goes to show the ties that they have with their roots, and so it's something that we appreciate and we love when people present themselves in that way. Just feel proud about who we are as a people. But Sheldon, I want to close as I start, and it has to do with the issues affecting Carriacouans and Petit Martiniquans right now. Right now, we are at our toughest in terms of times, in terms of challenge for home, for livelihood. It's gonna take some time for us to get back. Petit Martinique in particular, a number of persons would have migrated, would have picked up livelihood some other places. It's really tough. It's really tough, Sheldon. I mean, there are going to be taps on the roof for some time. We are hoping as much as possible things can recoup as quickly as possible. But if we keep taking the wrong step, if we keep taking the wrong actions, if we continue to attack our brothers and sisters because of whatever preference or whatever views that they may have, their opinions, in a time of crisis, a time of emergency, it's only going to be more painful for everybody. And I mean, I'm really saddened by some of the utterances, some of the stories that I'm hearing, persons who came up to me and tell me, look, this is what they were told, persons who are looking for support for education, support for the kids. It's not been handled. It's very partial. Persons are singled out and given better treatment than others, and other persons have to fend for themselves, especially in this time of crisis. This is not a time for that. And I'm really hoping, and I've said it consistently, we are rooting for the government to succeed, because once they succeed, Carriacouans and Petit Martiniquans are going to do well. We're going to be fine. But from where we sit, the issues are only they're only getting worse. It's a challenge. It's a challenge. We have the dry season coming up. What plans are put in place to deal with the potential water shortages? How are we going to address it? The plant is down currently. Some businesses are struggling to get off their foot. Where is the support? Give some grant support. That person, give them some capital injection, help them to get off the ground, so that they can go back, employ persons, create more economic activity. I mean, I've been speaking to some business persons over the weekend, and it's tough. It's tough, Sheldon. It's tough for a number of persons in business, especially not just in Carriacou, but Petit Martinique, but throughout. The business activity is not there. The commerce, it's not there. And so the government needs to start looking into that. The economic and financial and advisors need to start putting their pay into action. They've been paid big money, and so they need to come up with solutions to help this economy move. And so it's not happening right now, but we are very hopeful we are very hopeful, and I will continue to be a voice of hope. I will continue to make myself available and to do everything that I can to help wherever possible. With the little that I have, the little resource that I have, I do my best to help and advise and to direct persons and to reach out to organizations and individuals to help wherever we can, because that is what we should do. But at the same time, it's important that we raise those issues that are affecting our people. And I just want to leave on that, because I don't want it to be lost here in that conversation. And the impression that we give that everything is all good and well in Carriacou and Pidimatnik, that is far from the truth. And that is the fact. It is far from the truth. So, Sheldon, we are here. I'm here on island. I'm doing my do. Today I was doing some plastering. I still have my skills. I put my skills out, because doing some plastering today at my mom's house, and trying to see if I can get her back inside in a few weeks' time. Hopefully,
Yes.
I don't know, before the end of this month, she should be back under her roof.
But I know the brothers at work.
Yes, and I just want to say, with the support of her kids and friends and family, we're gonna get this done. We're gonna get her back home comfortably. Yeah, just want to say that. And although she told me, she said that somebody told her that I was asking for the apology, for wrongfully indicating that she received support from Matilda when she didn't. She told me, she said, "Son, just leave it alone. Just let it go. Say God is good. People who take those approach and actions, I mean, there'll be nothing good coming from it. So just forget it." But there is always a tendency for a response and follow up. So I hope
His mommy, we don't play around with that.
After tonight, there is a likelihood that we might see some postings or some remark being made or whatsoever.
No, they go run on TV within the next 1 week. Don't worry, they go run.
Well, I think that could use the opportunity, as I say, to still, just say, I'm sorry for misinformation. I think there is nothing wrong with doing that. Yeah? So I'll just close on that.
Senator Cox, thank you so much for being with us. I am a few minutes over time. I got to run because I got to go and get the transport to get out of here. And, last night I was trying to come in here. The transport that had to bring me in had trouble, and the one that was supposed to take me out didn't show up. Tonight, the one came for me, and then it had a problem. I had to call the next one to get in here tonight. So I had to hope that there's one waiting for me this time. The roads. Senator Cox, thank you so very much. Do enjoy the rest of your night.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure.
All right,
thank you. Take care. I'll be in touch. All right. Bye-bye.
Yes, indeed, folks. We were speaking there with Senator the Honorable Norland Cox, and we were discussing quite a few issues, Carriacou and Petit Martinique related, and one or two national related as well. As you know, I've got to go. It's already 5 minutes over the time tonight. I've got to go. In whatever you say and do it safe and secure. I want to be speaking to and with you and not about you. Love each and every one of you unconditionally. My name is Sheldon Scott. I am out of here. Do enjoy the rest of your night tonight. Yeah.